Here we have 5 different holiday decoration tutorials for you to choose from to make 1 or 2 or all of them. All of them are quick to make, of course, because they are small and also take very little yarn. 4 of these are among the most popular on my channel. They have all been for a while, and for some of them I have already made a second one, an improved version. And I left a tutorial for this here, Snowflake, to be last on this. It's been very popular for many years and I have improved it. It's a super quick one, only 2 rounds of crochet. And we have like Christmas tree shape and others. You are also welcome to use these instructions to make things to sell, if you do that towards the end of the year. We're starting now with a decoration that can be either colorful or look like an icicle. Wind spinners have been very popular recently, and this Christmas tree ornament is like a mini wind spinner. Or in white, it's an icicle. You make a simple spiral to create one. What you need is a small amount of yarn in 2 different colors. For these where you put 2 colors, this here one is just white in crochet thread. And then some glitter yarn for the last row. I have gold and silver here. And then of course, crochet hook that goes with the yarn you have chosen. These all are slightly different sizes, and you decide the size by how much you chain in the beginning. This here has just 20, this one has 30, and this one has 40. And this biggest one has 1 more row than the other ones. For now I'm making one like this here in 2 colors and with chaining 30. I have 25 here and I chain 5 more. So that's a chain of 30. And really you can make it any size, whatever, the same idea works. And then we start. I like them to be sort of tapered at the end. So first a slip stitch into the second stitch from the hook, just a slip stitch. And then straight away we start increasing 2 single crochets into each one of the chain stitches. 2 single crochets. And straight away the next one. And this is what you do until almost the end, because at the end again we'll have a slip stitch, but 2 stitches into each stitch, and you see that it's sort of starting to curl already because you are increasing. So do all of it, 2 stitches into each chain. Here I am almost at the end and I have 2 stitches left and 2 single crochets into the one before last, and then just a slip stitch in the last one, and then cut the yarn and pull it through like that. So it's starting to curl. Then take a different yarn and go back to that end that doesn't have any of these yarn ends. I'm crocheting each row from the same side, and then attach the yarn at the end. Chain 1, 2 single crochets in that first stitch in front of us, 2 single crochets in the same stitch as well as in the next one. And then we'll start making half double crochets and 2 into each. So a half double crochet, which means you pull straight through into each stitch. And that's what you continue again until almost the end. 2 half double crochets in every stitch. So I'm near the end now, and there's 3 stitches left, and until now I've had 2 half double crochets in each stitch, but at the end I'll use single crochets. 2 single crochets. This is the third one from the end, and the second one from the end too, and then the last one just a slip stitch straight through, and then chain and then cut the yarn. This is now the size that I'm going to leave this one, but before going for the glitter, I'm showing you how I would go on if I wanted this thicker one. I'm not going to do it, but I'll show how it would start. So if I was going to do another row here, I would start the row the same way I did here, but then have 2 half double crochets in a couple of stitches for the tapering, and then start by having 2 double crochets in each stitch and chain 1 in between. So 2 double crochets here, chain 1, 2 double crochets here, chain 1, and so on, right until the end. And at the end, again then taper it down by having a couple of times after the double crochets, half double crochets, then single crochets, and a slip stitch at the end. So this is how you would do it if you wanted this to be bigger. Then for the last row, using glitter yarn, and leave yourself quite a bit of the yarn for the hanging loop. That will save you 1 extra weaving in of yarn. And go to the top of the end where you don't have all these yarn ends. I have one here. And insert the hook and get the yarn. And so that it stays well in the beginning, take both strands and make a stitch with that. And then leave the yarn end out, of course. And now for the last row, what we are simply doing, and if you have made this bigger one that has a chain after every 2 stitches, you do the same. Use only the back loop of each stitch and 1 single crochet into each. So that is a super easy row. All you do is a single crochet in each one. And if you have those chains, also a single crochet into them. So just go through the whole thing with single crochets, so this borders it. Now of course then if you wanted something extra, you could also do like picots. I'll just show. Chain 2 and make a slip stitch at the start of those chains and then continue. So if you wanted to add something, you could have those picots there. Or you can of course also add sequins, beads or anything. But the basic is that you just crochet to the end using single crochets. Now I got that done and then finished off all the yarn ends. And it's worth tying the hanging loop like this here so that it can twirl a bit. Of course, when it's inside, it doesn't spin the way wind spinners do, but it does twirl a bit when people pass it or if there's a window open or something. And then form it right so that the coils are even. Make many different ones, also to give to friends and family. Next, we have this snowflake with sharp points. Only 2 rounds of crochet. This snowflake is quick to make and it only has very basic stitches. There are 2 rounds, first one here, the inner one, and then the points. The size of it depends of course on your yarn. This one is crochet thread and this is wool, but you can use just any kind of yarn and a hook that goes with whatever yarn you choose. These have been starched with sugar. Actually this here one isn't even properly dry yet. You heat half water and half sugar, or you do the same with glue. White glue, half glue and half water, and then mix them and let them dry. To start you need a chain. I'm using blue yarn just so that we see better. First you need to make a chain of 9. I have 6 here, and 7, 8 and 9. So you have a chain with 9 stitches in it, and then close it into a ring using a slip stitch. And then we are starting the first of the 2 rounds. Chain 4, chain 4, and make a treble into that ring. I'm using American crochet terms, So treble is 2 yarn overs, or in British crochet terms it's double treble, but 2 yarn overs, whichever terms you are using. And then you pull the yarn through 2 loops at a time, a treble. There. Then chain 5. And we are making really small picots by going into the second stitch from the hook and making a slip stitch right there. Just a small picot. And then chain 3. And now 2 trebles into the ring. And this is really what we are repeating. I'll show it one more time. Chain 5. A picot into the second stitch from the hook. Chain 3. And then again 2 trebles into the ring. And now repeat that until, let's see, finish these first. There. So repeat this until you have 6 of these sets of long stitches there. Here I have 6 of these and 5 of these loops. So what we need now is 1 more loop, and then we attach it to where we started the row. So one more time, chain 5, a small picot, and chain 3, and then go to the start of the round and attach that to the top of the 4 chain stitches we had in the beginning. Here. And that's our first round done. So we have made the inner circle here, and then we'll make 6 of these spikes, or whatever you call them, that are all exactly the same. First chain 6, 3, 4, 5, 6, and a small picot. Again chain 6, and a picot. One more time, chain 6, and this is now the tip of each of the points, and we turn back and we make a slip stitch into 3 of these. So the second stitch, slip stitch there, and the next one, and 1 more. So this creates the point. Then chain 4, and a picot, then chain 2, and now we attach this in here. So using a double crochet, we attach it in between these 2 picots. Double crochet, US term, treble British term, 1 yarn over in the middle there. So that sort of holds that point together. And then chain 4, and a picot, and one more time, chain 4, and now we are attaching that. So skip to the next bit of 2 trebles and make a slip stitch in between those. So that attaches that point. And that way the 2 points are on top of each other. And now simply make this here whole thing 5 more times. So then you will have 6 points. So that's all the 6 points done. And then it's important to wet it and block it. Depending now on what sort of yarn you have been using, you may be able to just wet it and shape it, or you need to use pins. And if you use pins, pinning it to whatever surface, make sure the pins are the kind that don't rust. I have ruined a few things by using rusting pins. But here we are now. These are quick to make, so you can make lots of them. And then we have this tree-shaped decoration with popcorn stitches. It has continued to be popular too. You can make these ornaments for your own Christmas tree or to give to friends and family. They can be in one yarn, or you can use metallic yarn to bring some shine to them. You can use any type of yarn. With these here, I first have wool, and then I was using glitter yarn at the same time with the wool. And here's a plain green one. So let's make one. We start here and work towards the top and then add this later. I have a slip knot here, and then I'm going to make 14 foundation single crochet stitches. And I'm using American crochet terms. If you prefer not to use foundation stitches that I'm going to show now, you can chain 15 and make 1 single crochet into each. But I'm only showing the foundation stitches. Chain 2 and a stitch into the first of these and pull through, and then take your yarn again and pull through just 1 and yarn through both. So that's the first one. The foundation stitch makes the chain and the first row at the same time. Then take these 2 loops we just made and pull yarn through them, yarn over and through one of them and through both. So now we have 2 foundation stitches. I'll do 1 more through here, like this, and continue until you have 14. I now have 3. 1, 2, 3. Here's 14 foundation stitches, and then we start the first row of popcorn stitches. Turn round and make a slip stitch into not the very first one but the next stitch, just so we start here. And then chain 3. And now we are making 4 double crochets into this here same stitch. 4 double crochets. 2, 3 and 4, and then we join them at the top. You may want to pull the stitch a bit longer and then take your hook off it and put it to the top of our 3 chains at the beginning, through there, and then through that stitch, and take a yarn and pull through. So that created this sort of a popcorn. Then chain 2, and then we make the next popcorn. So double crochet into the 3rd stitch, 1, 2, 3rd. And we will make 5 double crochets here into the same stitch. You would often see popcorn stitches made with 4 double crochets, but I tried that and I thought that for the tree they are not high enough. so I am having 5 each time. There's 5, and then you hook through the first one and through that stitch and take a yarn and pull through. So now we have 2 of those, and we'll have 5 of these on the first row. So continue like this, chain 2 and then skip 2 and make a popcorn into the third stitch, 3 more like that. And now I have 5, and the last one is at the end of that row. And then we need 1 row of single crochets. First chain 1 and turn and make 2 single crochets into the space between the stitches. So just the hook into that there space and a single crochet. And then straight to the next one, so no chain stitches in between. 2 into each of these 4 spaces. And there. By the way, if you haven't crocheted a lot, and if it feels like I'm crocheting too fast, remember that you can always slow down all videos. And then chain 3 and turn, and we continue this here same way, making these popcorn stitches, but on this row we'll just have 4. So I'll first have 4 in this here first stitch. 1, 2, 3, no, 3 and 4, and just again the same, you join the top of these double crochets and then chain 2, and then we'll make the next popcorn in one of the stitches in between there. I'm going into this here and just the same, so you make 5 and then the same here and at the end of the row. Here we are. By the way, if you prefer to crochet from a chart, there's a link to my blog in the video description and you can see the chart there. So now we have 2 of these, and then just the same again, chain 1, turn, and 2 single crochets into these spaces. There, and chain 3, turn, and now we'll do the same, just that we only have 3 because we put them in between these popcorns from the previous row. So you'll have 1 right at the start like before, so you'll make 5, and then in this gap and at the end of the row. So here's 3 rows now, and then we continue the same, chain 1 and turn, and 2 single crochets into the gaps, and then the next row you'll make 2, 1, 3 chains and turn. So now you'll make 2 popcorns and then turn 1 more time and make just 1. So it will look like this here: 5, 4, 3, 2 and 1 here. And then we need this here chains that go around it. Chain 3, 1, 2, 3, and then we go to the popcorn, the row below, and insert the hook through the side of it and make a slip stitch. And we do that on each of these. Chain 3 and attach it there, all of these. Splitting my yarn, and then 3 again, and now go to the corner where we started, and from here now we are making single crochets. 1, and make 3 into the corner, 3 single crochets, and then a single crochet into each of these stitches here, just through this here, a single crochet until there. Now I have single crochets here, and again to have 3 in the corner, so I already have 1 there, and I'll make 2 more, so it sort of goes round the corner. And then we do the chain 3s back, just like on the other side. So chain 3 and attach to the side of each of these. Chain 3 and attach into each of these. So here we are, and now you can finish off this here yarn, and then still this here bit. I'm taking gray yarn for that. I have my other yarn here, and double it by about half a meter, half a yard, and then we take the wrong side of this here tree and find a stitch a bit to the right from the middle. This here one, I see how many that is. From the corner 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6th. And insert the hook. And I'm taking the loop that comes from doubling my yarn and make a stitch. Then chain 1 using both strands. And a single crochet into that same stitch. And then 3 more single crochets. 1, 2, 3. Chain 1 and turn, and single crochet into each of these 4 stitches to finish this off. Here we are, and then 1 more stitch, and then cut it and pull through. Here's this one, and then you can use any kind of embellishments on any of them, like adding beads or whatever, and then you can add a loop to hang it on your tree. I trust you'll enjoy making many of these here Christmas trees. By looking at these ornaments, you might think that there's a lot of increases and decreases in them, but in fact there's none. So it's actually quick and easy to learn by heart how to make these. This one alternates with just red, and every second set of rows has red together with sequin goldy colored yarn. So it looks like this here. This one is entirely in glitter yarn, every second one red, and every other one green and silver. Like this here. This is mohair type fluffy yarn with silver glitter yarn. We are working back and forth, single crochet ribbing. And then we close both ends, have filling in there, and use a trick to get this more pointed. And at the end, add a tassel and a hanging loop. This is a great leftover yarn project. You only need small amounts of the yarns you choose, and you can either work all in one color or alternate colors or use 2 colors at the same time. Like I have done in this and this here one, I have used glitter yarns either on their own or combined using 2 yarns at the same time. And then you need a crochet hook that goes with the yarns you have chosen. And remember that if you are going to put 2 together, you of course need a slightly bigger hook than if you were only using 1, but it doesn't double it. We also need a tiny bit of stuffing. I have bought a very cheap pillow and broken it, and that's how I get all my stuffing. And then something to wind the tassel around. I'm going to use this here ruler, but you can use any household items, just enough to go around. For the one I'm making here now, I'm going to use these two. So I'm going to make it stripy, pink and white. There seems to be a fashion for pink Christmas trees now. I saw this lovely one a while back in Ireland. So I decided to do this one now in non-traditional Christmas colors. So let's start. First we're going to chain 18. So a slip knot and chain 18. Here. And then starting in the second chain from the hook, a single crochet in every stitch right across. So we're simply starting the ribbing that we need for it. So single crochets right along here, and we will always have 17 single crochets on each row. And then chain 1 and turn and start in the first stitch, but in the back loop only. And each back loop and again to the end the same way. Remember that it's easy to change the speed of any YouTube video. So if it seems that I'm going too fast or too slow, you can go to the settings and change that. Here, and now I'm taking the other color and making one chain using that, and then turning, and then just the same way, back loop and single crochet in every stitch. But there's something I want to mention when we come to the other end, so I'll crochet there now. I'm at the end now, and that stitch, and always with a single crochet ribbing you need to make sure that you take the last stitch as well, and it's a bit hard sometimes to get it there, so just to make sure that you are not starting to decrease. So we are having 17 stitches on every row, and then chain 1 and turn, and again the same way to the other end where we are changing the color again. The other end now, and again the same thing, make sure you take the last stitch as well. And we are going to change, if you are using two colors, we are going to change the color always at the same end, so that means that we are not going to get many yarn ends to finish off at the end. So just cross it over to this row that we're working on, make one stitch and turn, and then continue. So this is what we are doing for the main body of this bobble, going back and forth like that there. And this is forming these sort of ridges, going up and down, up and down. If you have two colors, it will be very easy to count. You will need 10 of these. So every second one, altogether 10. So that's 20 rows because we are going back and forth. And if you only have one color, then you count these here ridges that you'll have 10 of those. So I'll work on until I have 10. Here we are. I already cut the pink yarn and now leave quite a long tail so that we can sew this and then go around at the end a couple of times. Something like that there. And then finish it off and take a needle. And I'm just going to leave these inside and then fold it into two and sew that edge, just each stitch. Just small stitches like that there, right across. Like that there. And depending a bit what kind of yarn you're using, you may be able to pull that a bit so that you get the tighter, so that it shows less. And then we'll close this end first, so pass the needle through these tops of the ridges there. right across. Now I pass the yarn round and then pull tight. Make a couple of more stitches one direction and then back so that it stays there. There. Then get some filling and put it in, but don't put too much. It's not supposed to get sort of round. This here much. Maybe I need a little bit more filling here. And then to get this here sort of a shape that goes into a point, we need to do one more thing with the needle and yarn. So take it up again and go a bit further down. They're about at the most 1 centimeter. So something like the width of your little finger or so. Pass the yarn in such a way that it doesn't really show and stay close to the center there. Just going round it once. Here. And now pull that yarn a bit. This is what's going to form that there shape. It's going to keep it from becoming rounded. Like that there. Hope that shows that the shape changed a bit. And then finish off this here yarn. So a couple of times so it doesn't come out. I think I need a little bit more filling. Like that. And then I'm looking for where I started it there. That's where my seam is. And then pass the yarn into the stitches and go round a couple of times so it doesn't escape. And now the same for here. So go round there and then pull it tight here. And then do the same at this other end too. Going across, going right round close to the center and then pulling that tighter too. So going round here first. Now it's in there and then I tighten it. A bit more. Here. So the shape is finished now. And then we just need the tassel and hanging loop. I'm going to wind the yarn around this here ruler and take both the yarns and hold there and go round 6 times. And then cut it. Leave it long enough for now, we'll cut it later. And first, no, it doesn't stay there, but it will go down eventually. First we are going to tie it up here and take a yarn that's long enough for tying it there and then a bit more to attach it. And then the yarn through there. There are actually these tassel makers, you know, if you make them often, but I haven't got one. So you tie it very tightly there one way and another way. Then cut it here at the bottom. And then take another piece of yarn and tie that nicely here. There, one way and the opposite way. And then depending on what kind of yarn you have, if they don't sit nicely there, then you can take a needle and put it through into the middle. This here is wool and it stays fine. Even them out by cutting. I should have taken better scissors. And then again here you might want to make this here sort of a knot. If those yarns are not staying together. I had that problem with the glitter yarns. Just this kind of a knot, make sure that they go to the same direction. And then pass that through right in the middle there, somewhere in there. And decide how much you want it to be hanging. Maybe that there. And then finish off the yarn by putting it in there. Okay, we are this far, and then we just need a hanging loop. I think I'll use silver thread for that. So here we are. That's it done. You probably need to wet this to make it nice shape. But apart from that, it's done. Enjoy making these for yourself or your friends or your family. And see also these other Christmas tree decorations that I have here. And I have a playlist of them. And this here recent one has been very popular too. Then last, this one that I mentioned in the beginning as being the most popular on many platforms. I also have a link to the free written pattern in the description. This here Snowflake has been one of the most popular crochet patterns on my channel for many years. Last year was the most popular ever. That's why I decided then to make a new one. The actual pattern is also slightly improved. It's a very easy pattern to make because it only has 2 rounds of crochet. The snowflake, of course, is a different size depending on your yarn. This here is crochet thread and this one is chunky wool. And of course, you can use anything in between. I starched this one using a mixture of hot water and sugar, half-half. Or you can use white glue with some water or commercial starches. There are just the 2 rounds. First is here middle bit and then all of this is just 1 round. So let's see how it goes. First I made a slip knot and then chain 8, 6, 7, 8. Here I have chained 8 and then join using a slip stitch. And then we start the first round. Chain 4. And then a double crochet into the ring, and I'm also leaving the end of the yarn inside it, so I can just then cut it off. So a double crochet using the American term. It's treble in British terms, inside the ring. Chain 1 and another double crochet into the ring. And this is what we do for the first round. Chain 1 and a double crochet until you have 11 double crochets, and then there's this here chain. Here I have 11 plus that there's start, and one more time chain 1 and then a slip stitch into the chain loop in the beginning. So that was the first round. On the second round we alternate this here smaller point and the larger one. Both have picots. The small one has 1 and the big one has 3. First a small point, chain 5, and then we make a picot by making a slip stitch into the 3rd stitch from the hook. 1, 2, 3. A slip stitch. And then chain 3. And a slip stitch on top of the next double crochet. there. So here's one point. To start the larger one, chain 9. Chain 9. And first one picot into the third stitch from the hook here. Then chain 3. And a slip stitch in the first one of those 3, which creates the second picot. And one more time, chain 3, slip stitch in the first one. And then we want to make this into a sort of a flower by joining these. So insert your hook in where you started the first picot and a slip stitch there. And chain 5. And then we go on top of the next double crochet and a slip stitch there. So now there's a small point and a larger point. And now you alternate these two for the whole round. So you'll end up having 6 of each. So keep going the same way. So now I've gone round 6 big points and 6 small points. And when you come to the end, you attach it to the start of the round using a slip stitch. So here it is. And whether you are going to starch it or not, you need to block it. I normally wet block, soak it through, pin it and let it dry. So, time to start making one for all your friends. Which one of these ornaments do you like best? Enjoy making some. Here's some views from last year's Christmas market in my town.